Eita, daar. Welcome to the mplyLebo Leadership Podcast, where we explore leadership, workplace culture, and the very principles that shape exceptional leaders. I'm your host, Lebo, and this is officially season 3 of our leadership podcast. And with this episode, we are relaunching, rebranding, and repurposing our podcast to really center around what I believe is our core mission and mandate and assignment on planet Earth, which is to raise leaders and unlock their potential everywhere, one leader at a time. So, welcome to season 3 officially. Today we go back to the very foundation, to what I believe is really the core and the basis, if you will, of all great leadership. And what is that? Leading yourself effectively. Before you can lead others with impact, you must first master leading yourself, right? The art of leading yourself. Leadership isn't just about, leading others or influence over a team. It starts with personal discipline, self-awareness, and intentional growth. So, in this episode, we'll cover 3 main things, or 3 main themes, if you will. 1, why self-leadership is the foundation of effective leadership. Secondly, the key pillars of self-leadership. The key pillars of self-leadership. And 3, practical ways to lead yourself better every day. By the end of this conversation, you'll have actionable insights to strengthen your self-leadership and in turn become a more effective leader to those around you. Are you ready? Let's dive right in. So, why is self-leadership the foundation of effective leadership? John Maxwell says, the hardest person to lead is yourself. And he's right. If you cannot lead yourself, your time, your mindset, your emotions, how can you expect to lead others successfully? Think about the best leaders you've ever worked with or admired. What made them stand out? Most likely, they demonstrated a couple of things, one of which is discipline, which means they followed through on commitments. They probably also demonstrated self-awareness. In other words, they understood their strengths, weaknesses, and emotions. I'm willing to bet they probably also demonstrated resilience, which means they managed stress and setbacks with composure. The truth is, leadership is not about position or power. It's about character and consistency. And leadership is the foundation, and self-leadership, I beg your pardon, is the foundation of both. The second pillar that I'd like us to just get into is the key pillars, what I call the key pillars of self-leadership. So, what does self-leadership actually look like, right? Let's break it down into, 4 key pillars. Here they are. Self-awareness, number 1, comes up quite a lot, even when you're talking about emotional, quotient or emotional maturity or emotional intelligence. So self-awareness, what is that in its basic form? It is knowing yourself. You cannot lead what you do not understand, right? Self-leadership starts with knowing a couple of things. Knowing your values. Number 1, what truly matters to you, right? Knowing your values. Secondly, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. In other words, what do you do well? What do you do well and where do you need growth, right? Quite often we stick to, this is what I do well, and we don't often look closer in the mirror in terms of where exactly do we need growth. And even if we do look close, we quite often are too afraid or too timid or too much in denial to acknowledge where we need growth, right? And then the next thing that is important from a self-awareness point of view is your triggers and emotions. So in other words, what situations bring out the best or the worst in you? A simple practice to build self-awareness is, for some people is journaling, journaling, writing down your thoughts, right? Take about 5 minutes at the end of each day to reflect on what went well and what challenged you and what you learned. Anyone that has worked with me, even my current team that works with me in my current vocation, will tell you almost every meeting, especially if it's a one-on-one, I will always ask, what did you learn from this experience? What did you learn from that engagement? What did you learn from the year that we have just gone through? What did you learn, from that or this or the other? So very, very important to be very intentional about what challenged you as well as what you learned. While we are dealing with the pillars of self-leadership, the second one is self-discipline. We just spoke about self-awareness. Now we get into self-discipline. Managing yourself. This one is absolutely critical. Discipline is what separates wishful thinking from real progress. As a leader, you must do a couple of things. That these are non-negotiable if you're going to be an effective leader in the context of self-discipline and managing yourself. Number one, you must master your time. Plan your day, set priorities, and minimize distractions. Secondly, follow through on commitments. Your word must mean something. There's nothing worse than a leader that makes promises and they don't follow through, or that makes commitment and they don't follow through. With time, if that becomes a trend, you lose credibility, and most importantly, you lose the trust of the ones that you're trying to lead and move forward with. So follow through on your commitments. Your word must mean something. Thirdly, manage energy, not just time, right? What do I mean by this? Protect your physical and mental well-being. Absolutely important. Be very independent, or rather intentional about that. Ask yourself, do my daily habits align with the person I want to become? If not, it's time to realign your actions with your values. Third pillar is emotional intelligence. We alluded to it earlier, and in I think 2 seasons ago we have a 3-part series unpacking emotional intelligence. But in the context of managing yourself, and in our episode today, it's very, very important. We're talking about emotional intelligence from a perspective of regulating yourself. Let's be honest. Leadership is emotional. It gets very emotional because you're carrying the hopes and dreams of other people other than yourself. Your ability to manage stress, therefore, and to respond instead of react and navigate challenges with composure is absolute key. So what do you do then to strengthen emotional intelligence? I'll give you a few quick tips before we get to the fourth pillar in this construct and context. So how do you strengthen emotional intelligence? 1, pause before reacting. Give yourself a moment before responding to situations. Develop empathy. Seek to understand before making judgments. 3, build emotional resilience. What does that mean? It means embrace setbacks as learning opportunities, not personal failures. I want to repeat this last one. It's very critical. Build emotional resilience. Embrace setbacks as learning opportunities, not personal failures. I don't know, that spoke to me right there. Number 4, growth mindset. I call this personal development, intentional growth. You cannot grow from a comfort place. If you are not learning, you are not growing, and it means you are slowly dying. A leader who stops learning stops leading. To lead yourself well, commit to lifelong learning. I want to give you a few very simple tips. Read books. One of my favorite personal quotes from yours truly is, leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. Secondly, seek mentorship. It's got to come from you. If you are fortunate for a mentor to find you and offer to mentor you, amen, leverage that, use that. You are blessed, you are fortunate. But most people, if they really want to grow, they have to intentionally seek out mentors. Thirdly, learn from failure. Failure is part of the process of success. Failure is not who you are. Failure is what you do on the way to success. Challenge yourself daily. Ask yourself questions like, am I better today than I was yesterday? If not, what small changes can I make to grow? Lastly, friends, as we're about to wrap up our podcast and episode for today, here are a couple of practical ways to lead yourself better every day. Listen to this. Self-leadership is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Here are 3 powerful habits to strengthen it. Number 1, start your day with intention. How you begin your day sets the tone. Instead of waking up and reacting to life, take control with a simple morning routine. What does that look like? Reflect, plan, prepare. Reflect, plan, prepare. What do I mean by reflect? Spend a few minutes in gratitude or journaling, or if you are, somebody who's spiritually inclined, in prayer and meditation. Be intentional in centering yourself. 2, plan. Identify your top priorities for today, because not everything is a priority. Some things can wait. Other things cannot wait in the context of what's important for that day. 3, prepare. Mentally rehearse the challenges ahead, because every day, is different. It may throw, certain things at you that you might not be prepared for. But if you are prepared mentally and intentionally, you'll be able to accomplish what you intend to do for the day. A day well started is a day well led, right? So start your day with intention. 2, set and maintain boundaries. Be very clear on those. Self-leadership means protecting your time and focus. Learn to say no to distractions and unnecessary commitments. You don't need to be in every single meeting. You don't. Guard your time. Block off deep work sessions. Protect your energy. In other words, surround yourself with, people who uplift and challenge you. In fact, let me scrap that word energy. I want to say protect your heart. Protect your peace. Protect your sanity. Surround yourself with people who uplift and challenge you. This one is very relevant to the time that we live in. This next one. Set digital boundaries. Come on now. Reduce social media time and unnecessary screen time. You will thank yourself later. Lastly and finally, friends, reflect and adjust. Great leaders don't just take action. They reflect and refine their approach. Reflect and refine. At the end of each week, ask yourself the following. What did I do well? What could I have done better? And what will I change next week? The key to self-leadership is consistency. Small intentional improvements lead to significant growth over time. Friends, leading others starts with leading yourself. When you take ownership of your habits, emotions, and growth, you set the foundation for impactful leadership. So as you go forward, ask yourself, am I leading myself with the same excellence that I expect from others? What one habit can I improve this week to strengthen my self-leadership? Yeah, that's it for today's episode, folks, of the mplyLebo Leadership Podcast. If you found this valuable, subscribe and leave a review and share it with other leaders in your network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, great leadership starts with leading oneself effectively. We appreciate your consistent support and listenership. Eita, daar.